Hello and welcome back. If you landed on this page because you're a business owner and figured out that you've reached sort of a ceiling regarding your workload and the profitability of the business, I think you're in the right place. I help businesses scale and even become sellable. And today I will talk about how I do that. Because I'll be completely honest, I haven't been that clear on this channel on how I do this, and I've been receiving many questions. And, well, my strategist, Henry, shout out Henry, told me that I have to have something like this. So here we go. My program is called the CEO Blueprint, and it's part of my company, which is called Digital Footprint. Now, these names are very symbolic because, first of all, a digital footprint is something way more complex than whatever you post on social media or your website or everything. A digital footprint also means your bank statements, the business relationship that you have with partners or customers, and it also means all the internal communication in order for all the processes to be clear. I named this the CEO SEO blueprint because, first of all, I hope I'm speaking to the CEO or a decision maker in the business itself. And SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. Now, many think that SEO is only related to Google, that if you do SEO, it means that Google search indexes your page better. In reality, everything has search engine optimization. Everything that has internet and everything that has a search bar has search engine optimization. Sorry. And so, what we're trying to achieve with this digital footprint is, first of all, transparency, second of all, repeatable processes, and third of all, a coherent image in case one day you decide to buy. So the first thing you'll be getting from me is this CEO SEO blueprint, which basically clears up what exactly your business does, who it helps, and how it serves. This is important for this decision maker in himself because these are your core values. These are why you get up from bed. These are why you have arguments with the accountants and everything. Because you apply value-based leadership. So this is supposed to bring you a little more clarity. It has some exercises, it has a whole bunch of pages here, and of course, it talks about marketing. Because fundamentally, everything you do in marketing is actually how you translate your business, well, your product or your service, to the market. So if you are clear on what you offer, then it is clear for everyone to understand the value. Right. So now that we spoke about this, I'd like to get something out of the way. Many business owners think that operations means delivery of the product or service. That is wrong. In reality, we have a business that is comprised of core services and operations. And operations, the distinction between them is if you improve them, what do they affect? The core services obviously are customer affecting, but the operations in themselves are profit affecting. Many business owners see this as a kind of a side thought, like kind of nice to have, like paying attention to billing and payments and fiscal optimization and even lead nurture. They think that's like, I don't know, that's a marketing thing. In reality, these affect your bottom line as much as the delivery of your core services. As such, I am an advocate of blaming the process and not the people. And if you're one of those people, one of those, I guess, employers that have issues with the level of competence of the employees, you're not alone. I used to be that way too. I used to complain that they were flaky. I used to complain that I would have to intervene and do everything myself. But if your processes are set in place, they really have no reason to make mistakes because everything would be clear. And even a monkey should be able to do that. Profit margin is also affected by how much the employees are overworked and how stressed out they are. So, in lean methodology, which we will see later in this presentation, the fundamental idea is that employees should work less in order for the product to be better fulfilled. Businesses have several levels of sigma. Sigma is, well, we use Six Sigma for your business, and this is the ideal situation in which your business should be. Six Sigma means that we pay attention to the processes in order to improve them. And we don't play the blame game, we play the math game, specifically the statistics game. All other levels of Sigma just represent the fact that the lower the number goes, the higher the defects go. And so in a Six Sigma business, we reduce the defects, we reduce the delays, and we reduce the deficiencies. Now that we got that out of the way, I want to tell you about the schedule that we will be having. So my program lasts 60 days, 2 months, and we're going to have weekly calls. We're going to, of course, have the onboarding call. We're going to get to know each other and everything. And then when the program starts, we're going to start having audits. First of all, we're going to start having, in week 1, we're going to be very clear about the goals and the frustrations and the time delay and what the existing processes are. We are also going to set one campaign. But this time, we're going to do it differently than you usually do it. We're going to either use the Scrum technique or the Kanban technique. Now, today is not the day I have to go in detail about this, but they're basically methodologies of process monitorization in order for everybody to know what we're doing and how we're doing and how far we are along with the thing that we're doing. 1 week later, we're going to get in the nitty gritty. So we're going to have audits. We're going to have Six Sigma audits. After identifying in week 1 what's wrong with the business and what is desired, we're going to have develop methodologies to either improve an existing process or develop a new product or service. And we will adjust your potential OKRs and KPIs because fundamentally, evolution must be sustainable and incremental. We're not going to do any crazy things. We're just going to put everything out there and organize it so everybody understands and everybody can follow what's happening. Then 1 week later, week 3, we're going to get really practical about how to improve the existing process with a step-by-step implementation. Then we're going to think about the new product or service that is desired with a target, with proper messaging, and with a step-by-step deployment. And this is when we start the lovely alignment exercises. Many times in businesses, people have the tendency to point a finger to whose fault it is that something went poorly. And you probably already know that that's really not constructive. But at the same time, if the accountability is not clear enough, then people don't, oh, I thought you were supposed to do it. Oh, I thought you were supposed to do it. Oh, I want to do that. Well, you're not supposed to do that, sir. So we're going to have this first alignment exercise in which we're going to define who is responsible for what. Then, towards the end of the first month, we're going to have another audit. We're going to have an audit related to cash flow. We're going to see what the assets are, what the liabilities are, what the strengths and weaknesses, what the opportunities and threats are. And then we're going to do some number projections. So, if we're going to obviously have the ideal situation, but more realistic, adjusted to the realistic KPIs and OKRs, then we're going to have a worst case scenario if things continue like this. And we're probably going to obtain a middle thing because that's what usually happens. In this exercise, we're going to look at how to make the business lean. We'll get into what lean methodology is, and I'll have a spoiler alert. It does not mean less people. Anyway, after a month, we're going to assess what happened to that campaign that we set a month ago. We, first of all, describe the methodology used in order for this to be repeatable for everyone, for your marketing department, or if you want to outsource that stuff. And then we're going to look at the results, the revenue, the engagement, and the A/B testing for the next cycle, the next campaign. And of course, our alignment exercise will be, what is the next campaign? Now we're going to the end of the program. So in week 6, we have yet another audit in which we see what happened after implementing all that stuff. Like, did we save time? Did we obtain clarity? Did we identify the causes of friction? And now, after everything is kind of already mapped out about the business and what the potential for growth is, and even noticing some growth in profit margin, now it's time to think about, how does a sellable version of this business look like? It's going to look in many ways, but you will see that you would also be getting the tools to prepare for a sale. Week 7, this time, we're going to think about all the alignment exercises, all the board member exercises or exec exercises that we did. And we're going to assess, because honesty is a virtue. And this is a safe environment for us to be honest, to think about what we really want to do with the business. If we identify ourselves with what we're doing in the business, or if we should remove ourselves because it's not really in alignment with our person. I had a business for 8 years in which the business itself wasn't really in alignment with me, and as such, I was working 16-hour days. I couldn't take days off because I thought everything was going to shatter. But in reality, if I would have done this exercise 8 years ago, I would have known where to position myself in the business and just create the systems and the processes necessary for the business to run and grow. But I didn't know that. I was 27. You're learning that right now. And I really hope you don't go through what I went through, because it's a waste of time and it's a shame. All right, the final week, final meeting, we're gonna see the results of the existing system improvements. We're gonna look at the new product or service performance and scalability, and we're gonna plan out the next 10 months for a potential exit with the cash flow, with the SWOT analysis, and of course, I'm going to leave you with best practices manual, best practices manuals for the next 10 months. So you're going to have tools on how to know how to set realistic objectives and key results. You're going to have ways to set key performance indicators, again, realistically and transparently for whoever needs to know. And of course, you're going to have some healthy business bookkeeping. Now, one of the tools that we're going to use, of course, Six Sigma. From Six Sigma, we have the Pareto principle, which probably most of you already know because YouTubers have been peddling this Pareto principle and inserting this into everything. Like 20% of the work actually gives 80% of the positive effects, but this also works for negative effects. And I will show you how to actually apply this thing, which is kind of basic and not very transparent. And the example that we took is employee incompetence frequency. So if 20% of the causes, which would be employee incompetence frequency, employee incompetence, deliver 80% of the effects, that you can't charge your customers more, that you can't pay your employees more, and as such you get like unprepared employees and stuff. This is the occurrence of the employee incompetence. So most of the time probably the tech data is wrong, but also we have like quantities wrong, layout wrong. This is the example of an architectural studio. The attitude may be wrong, they might be stressed, or they're not participating in a deadline. All of these should go into an analysis on how to better improve. Asking why 5 times, but we'll get into that later. Another way which I really like to use Six Sigma, but keep in mind, we're going to figure out how to use these methodologies specifically for your business, because you might be really good at sales, but really bad at delivering, or you might really suck at marketing and don't really know how to position yourself, but be awesome at delivering. And so we have these tools and we're going to use them for where you have your weaknesses, because most of the business owners, let's be honest, think about their strengths and not their weaknesses. And that's why many business owners don't even look at the operations part on the profit affecting part of the business. Anyway, this is a different example of using Six Sigma normal distribution for sales opportunities. So the process already exists, and these are the steps. We have define, admit you might not fully understand the problem, measure, trust data over gut feelings, analyze, be open to finding fault in your own process, improve, let the best idea win, no matter whose it is, and control, stay disciplined, knowing no one else is above the basics. I mentioned a normal distribution. So this is a Gaussian curve. It's a normal distribution with like a thick median average and really, really narrow extremities. This is a probability of occurrence of a sale. I put $1,000 here as a median average. It measures how spread out selling opportunities are bound to the mean price. What we learn from this normal distribution is the fact that in the case of a mean price of $1,000, we should never, ever, ever be charging anywhere below $600-700, because that is totally going to affect our revenue. It's going to shift the diagram. Six Sigma is very beautiful, isn't it? And we're going to do analysis. We're going to do visualization, and we're going to have a key takeaway for the process itself. So this is what a Six Sigma DMAIC analysis would look like. Moving on. In lean is about reducing waste in a business. And most of the time, business waste is referred to, well, time delays and defects and deficiencies. Sometimes it also refers to people being either underqualified or overqualified. But the thing is, statistics really save us here as well, because after analyzing many, many businesses and how they deliver their product or services, we've noticed some things. We've noticed some golden rules. For example, the 357 rule, which states most value is added for a product for 3 out of 60 minutes. The rest is non-value. This is because most of the time the product itself is just waiting to be addressed. And the customer, of course, is also waiting for something to happen 95% of the time. So if you were to cut employee time in half, you would only actually be saving 1.5 minutes of the actual value. Another rule is the 15 to 20, which means that if you reduce time to provide a product by 15 minutes out of 16 minutes, so if it takes you only 45 minutes instead of an hour to do the same thing, you double the productivity because this compounds. And at the same time, you reduce the cost of delivering the product by 20%. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Another rule that I want to assess is the 3x2 rule. And this is this is your motivation of going lean, because reduced cycle time, and I'm referring to, product or service delivery time. Reduced cycle time gives you 3x growth and 2x profit margin. And most companies find that they only need 2/3 of the people to run the business. But as I said before, lean is not about less people. So that means that they're going to grow 3 times faster because 1/3 of them will meet more demand. And for this, many businesses require outbound communication and outbound marketing, because after you dig your ditches like Moses in the desert, then the rain comes. You prepare for the money rain to come. All right, moving on. This is another example in which we use Lean Six Sigma to look at our profit margin growth potential. And it's very easy because our forefathers before us already ran all the simulations. They actually had the businesses. Think General Electric, think JP Morgan, businesses that are over 100 years old. They already had the data. And so it was just a matter of how to look at the data. And so implementing Six Sigma and Lean in local markets, only local, can boost profitability by attacking waste, defects, and inefficiency. So one example is if a company has 1.875 million euros yearly turnover, and the profit margin would, let's say it's 10%. If you were to implement only lean, it cuts waste and profit, which would gain at least 2 to 5% profit margin. And that is if you're not doing anything wrong, which I've noticed that most of you do, sorry, because you haven't optimized anything. And it's not your fault. It's because businesses kind of grow and you have the old systems. It's like a plant that outgrows its pot. If you were to also, not also, but only look at Six Sigma methodologies for your business, you would gain like 1 to 3% profit margin. Again, if you're doing everything right. And if you combine Lean Six Sigma, guaranteed, even for the business that you think is like the best business, best processes, you're going to have a 3 to 8% absolute profit margin increase within 1 or 2 years. These are absolutely worst case scenarios for me, but best case scenarios for you in case that you're already doing such a good job with your business. There is always potential to grow. And like even when we're done after a cycle of 1 year, we look at everything again and we're going to notice that we can have another 3 to 8% because that's just the way life is. There is space to improve. As such, if your business is already super lean and super organized, no offense, I don't think that's true, then that means if we were to work together, you would have an extra yearly profit. I'm sorry, if the business is this big, you would have an extra yearly profit of 93,750. These are euros because I'm in Europe right now. And usually the payback period for such programs in small and medium companies is less than 12 months. I've seen 3x profit margin on a client for like after 6 weeks of working together. We managed to triple the profit margin. But to be fair, that was highly unoptimized. Cool. So that means for a business of this scale, that's like, I don't know, maybe $2 million, I get think it's the yearly turnover. The currency is irrelevant. If you do lean only and you're doing already such a good job, you're going to have 37.5K to 93.75K. If you do only Six Sigma, you're going to have, well, a smaller increase over the course of a year, because let's say your business isn't really complex, so you have 1 or 2 processes, but like I really don't think that's the case. And if you combine them, you can have up to 150K increase in profit. All right, moving on to the deliverables. I will give you, after we're done with this lovely 60-day program, I will give you a custom business handbook for basic operations. And this is basically gonna say what some people should do, what some people shouldn't do, how they should do it, and how to decide the objectives and key performances and key performance indicators. Why do we need to do this? Who needs to do this? What needs to be done? All of these things have to be written down and available for everyone to see. This is part of your digital footprint. That's why we're not discussing personal brands here. We're discussing digital footprints. Okay. I would like to point out that most of the time, when you deliver a product or service, at least 80% of it you've already delivered to a past client, because that's the nature of your business. So we can pay attention to this and we can reuse like basically 80% of all the resources that we put for the prior customer. And that means that we can give all our attention and focus to that custom 20%, which is really going to make a difference for the customer. They're really going to see the actual value. And at the same time, your employees, will be working less. Another thing that I will be giving you after the program is the custom best practices manual. So in this case, we will be working for 2 months, and I will be giving you what to do for the next 10 months, because I'll be completely honest, after we work together, I never want to see you again, because there's really no justification for me to be working on your business if we're all doing a good job and we're implementing everything that is to be implemented. We really never have to see each other again. Well, we can see each other again after a year, maybe to assess what happened the year prior, but I will be giving you the best practices for the next 10 months in order for you to have a lovely, fresh year, a lovely, fresh fiscal year, a lovely, fresh calendar year. I don't know. And you're going to focus on something specific each month for you to properly convey your product or service, not only to your in team, but also to the rest of the world. Because you're ready now. You had 60 days with me. You dug all your ditches, and now we're doing the rain dance. And you'll have a 10-month schedule for your proper outbound. And the beautiful thing about online SEO and about building a digital footprint for strangers is that it compounds. So instead of social media that has like the content has a shelf life of 24 hours to like 4 days, or I don't know, maybe 7 days if it's a really good reel. If you approach it holistically like a digital footprint, it's only going to compound on itself, because that's the beauty of the CEO SEO blueprint. Your stuff, your story, your business, your past clients, your value proposition, all of these are going to be continuously indexed by search engines, whether it's Google or LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram or whatever. It doesn't even matter. And the more clear you are on these platforms, the easier it would be for your ideal customers to find you when they need you. Now let's get into the possibility of sales, of selling your company. One very important thing that you will obtain from me and you should be actively working on is the so-called investment memorandum. The investment memorandum is kind of like an x-ray of your business. And because we've went through the whole exercise of making the processes clear and transparent to everyone, it's easier for us to actually put together a strong investment memorandum. So maybe you can call this a sales letter. I don't know. But it's an x-ray of your company. It's going to give the company overview. It's going to give a market analysis with maybe potential of growth. It's going to obviously give some financial information. It's going to give details on operations and technologies. Of course, it's going to give risks and challenges. And then we're going to talk about transaction details and all the appendices necessary that are in congruence with the nature of your business. And last but not least, we're going to have corporate acquisition financial models, because why would anybody want to buy your business? If your business is doing well, why would anybody want to buy it with cash? It makes no sense. They're going to want to, well, maybe buy it with the cash they have, but then they're going to want to take your business and go to a bank or, I don't know, private loans or whatever, and they're going to say, hey, look, I have this thing which is generating this much money. I would like to use it in order to borrow some money from you. And like, it's obvious I can pay you back the monthly fee and just give me some extra money. And they'll go, wow, okay, this looks really good. Sure, no problem. How much do you need? I can give you this much, which is related, obviously, to the books of the business. And we have corporate acquisition financial models. We have either a leverage buyout, we have the M&A model. You can go over this, but maybe you just want to get rid of the business. I don't know. And then you have discounted cash flow, which is again beautiful because it also has a financial projection model. And this detailed forecast includes projecting the income statements, balance sheet, and cash flow for several years, like 3 to 5 years. I love this. I love this so much. I love the fact that, well, I wouldn't say certain, but plausible. I love the fact that statistics and historical data give us a clear vision of the future, and so it's less scary, and so we can take risks because these risks are calculated. I hope you liked my presentation of how I deliver my services. If you are indeed interested in working with me over a 60-day period, there are some links down below. And otherwise, check out the rest of my channel if you want to do everything yourself. Thanks for listening so far.